Hi, this is Maginoni, and let's talk about Convergence and Secret Wars. These are the big summer blockbuster series from both Marvel and DC. Since Convergence is coming out first, we'll talk about this one first. Now, Convergence is going to start in April, it's going to go to May. There's going to be 88 issues plus a zero issue. And so, what we're really looking at is a bunch of weekly issues. Now, the whole premise, a very high level overview of Convergence is this: Brainiac has been going around, he's been collecting cities in these domes, and like they're basically shrunken down. And he's also collected heroes from various time periods, different universes and things like that. And what he's going to do is he's going to force them all to battle. And in a way, this kind of does sound very much like the original Secret Wars in that you had a planet and then they battled heroes versus villains. But in this case, what it's technically going to be is heroes versus heroes as well. Now, notably, what's the main thing that people are probably going to be looking at and get really excited about is you're going to see pre 52, so this is all the pre Flashpoint superheroes come back. And based on from what they've released already, you're gonna see like mixes. Like for an example, you're gonna see New 52 Batgirl with like fighting pre-Flashpoint, Cheetah and the gorilla, Grodd, and there's gonna be like Red Robin or something like that's also going to be involved. So you're going to see these odd mixes like that. So that is really going to, personally, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how some of these characters are going to react to each other, especially if there's differences. Like, for an example, with Barbara Gordon, I mean, she's walking, and in the pre-Flashpoint universe, she's handicapped. So that's what I'm mostly interested in. But I don't think there's enough of a difference with a bunch of the other characters to really matter. This is going to be a very serious investment, but I think if people are smart at their purchases, you can pretty much cut out a lot of the filler and then just go straight to the meat stuff or the stuff that interests you. So before you buy anything, make sure you check various news sites, you view previews, see what's coming out, and plan ahead, because 88 issues in 2 months, that's a lot of money, and it's just going to eat away at everything, all of your savings. But personally, I'm not as excited overall about this one compared to Secret Wars. Now, I realize people might be saying, oh, you're just saying that because you're more of a Marvel fan, but let's be honest here. Let's talk about what changes could really happen once I go over what Secret Wars is. In Secret Wars, the end of the Marvel Universe happens. If you've been following the Avengers, universes have been colliding against each other, and finally, the 616 universe is going to collide with the Ultimate Universe. Everybody dies. End of everything. But they appear on a battle world, and on this battle world, it's going to be all these different universes, other different worlds. So you're going to see like multiple Wolverines, Captain Americas, and whatnots, and they're going to battle on this planet, and the victor is going to survive. So in theory, what I think is going to happen is you're going to see Marvel tinker with things. By that I mean, this is their opportunity to bring Miles Morales into the 616 universe. This is their chance. If they want to bring back Gwen Stacy, they can. Especially now that she's a Spider-Man in another universe. Bring her back. If they want to bring back Wolverine, this is a quick and easy way of doing it by not giving you the Logan that you expect. So there's lots of, there's tons more changes that could happen. This, I don't expect a lot of changes to happen. You're probably going to see a token death. You might see a costume change. You might see a character here and there transfer over, but this should have a much more of a radical impact. But at the same time, they're gonna have to keep a lot of the things basic. They can't drastically change Peter Parker, Fantastic Four, Avengers. Well, I mean, they can change some stuff, but they can't erase all of history, because if they did that, then that's going to be a revolt. And so I'm hoping they're going to keep that true. Now, Secret Wars is probably going to run about 5 months, and what they're going to do is basically cancel every book. Then when Secret Wars comes out, that's the thrust of the whole storyline, and you're going to see other books coming out that are going to be, in a sense, Secret War tie-in type books. So it's going to be pretty similar to what Convergence is doing here. Now, immediately you can tell that there's some similarities. Now, this is what we do know. Secret Wars was originally planned out when Hickman made his proposal when he took over the Avengers. So this was supposed to be his Avenger run, but that was changed to do what the Time Runs Out storyline, the Thanos storyline, and then do Secret Wars, which I think was a much smarter move, because they actually built a story to this. And this also gives you a reference point that this was created or thought up of like at least 3 years ago, at least. Now, most likely it's probably plotted out a little bit. A high-level overview was plotted out earlier, just because the way comics work is you have to work in advance, and big changes require a lot of notice. But I think, like I said, at least 3 years you're looking at. Convergence. Now, Dan Didio basically said that he got his people together, Scott Snyder, the people who did Doomed and Future's End, and came up with Convergence. So this gives you a slightly different timeline, in the sense that, okay, you figure Doomed and Future's End, and Future's End would have had to have been planned out 6 months to a year before it was actually put out into the stores, because they would have to work out artist schedules and writer schedules, and there's so many creative teams. You have to make sure that you can plan everything carefully. And Doomed, you figure that would have had at least a 3-month, probably more than that, probably like maybe a 6-month time window or so from concept to let's get the thing out there. So again, you're looking at probably about a year. And I seriously doubt that this was thought up of 3 years for Marvel's event. Now, which leads to my point is, I swear to God, when you see all these events and how they keep overlapping, Marvel and DC, I firmly believe there's spies, and they're telling each other what they're doing, and that's why there's some similarities. Because there's no way this is a coincidence. No way. These stories are way too similar. Now, technically, you can probably say Marvel took Secret Wars from DC, because everybody was going crisis anniversary, and Marvel reacted to it, and they said, okay, well, we'll call your crisis with Secret Wars. So don't get me wrong, I'm not really wanting to say DC's all at fault. I think there's a lot of stuff going on both sides that we just don't know. Now, most likely, Marvel's Secret Wars is really going to play out to a lot of money also. Pretty much close to what DC is. So, again, be prepared to pay out. The only advantage is this is done and this is starting. So, at least you're not doubling up. Now, Convergence kind of has me wondering what they're doing, like what their motives are. In the sense that, okay, great, I understand you want to do a big event, big events draw money. And I'll give them props coming up with the Brainiac storyline, because every single time they go to the well with the same characters, and I'm really excited to see Brainiac. I'm really excited to see them do something different. And the Dome City concept does sound different. It sounds interesting. So I'm really looking forward to how that plays out. But in terms of changes, in terms of ramifications, DC doesn't have to do much. I mean, they're number 2. They're going to stay at number 2 unless they do something radical. And I don't know if this is the vehicle to do something radical with. Now, this is a nice vehicle to see if there's still interest, a strong interest in pre-Flashpoint. Because I guarantee you, if pre-Flashpoint books during Convergence sell more, and or certain characters are selling really well, I guarantee you that's going to have a ramification later on in terms of DC Comics. Guaranteed. Marvel Secret Wars, I was thinking about this, and they had no choice but to do this. Now, I understand everything is planned out ahead of time, and I'm sure this is why they did things the way they did, because they knew what was going to happen. But Marvel really painted themselves into a very dark corner. Now, I really enjoyed looking at alternate views of the superheroes. I enjoyed seeing Evil Spider-Man. I really enjoyed seeing, how some heroes turn villain. Superior Iron Man, Tony is just a jackass, and I like some of that. But that being said, how do you pull back from that? How do you get back to the golden age? Captain America is an old man. He doesn't have his super serum anymore. So are you suddenly going to go, well, Cap, we found this serum and here you go. He's Captain America again. They killed Nick Fury. What do? Nick Fury's gone. And, you're going to, oh, that really wasn't Nick Fury. That was one of his bots. Or anytime you see the Nick Fury now, it's a bot. You have the heroes turning into villains. So technically you'd have people's distrust of them. But of course they just washed that off. No big deal. Superior Iron Man. Tony is criminal. He is a criminal, plain and simple now. How do you fix that? You just can't go, I was brainwashed. Really? You're going to get sued. And then you're going back to another storyline where he loses all of his money and loses everything, and they've done that millions of times. The X-Men. The X-Men are splintered. They're fractured. I mean, they're not a strong, cohesive team any longer. It's a mess. Continuity is a mess. They killed Namor. They killed Thanos. They killed all these other characters, supposedly. You have heroes that were involved in destroying of universes, of worlds, genocide. How do you take those heroes? How do you take the Beast and then put him back into the X-Men and him being that pillar of nobility that he's supposed to be? How do you have Reed Richards go and be the family man? I am, Reed Richards, I do good, I solve problems, I save lives, but in my spare time I destroy universes. You can't erase that. If you do, you're really insulting the fans. So this is one way, basically, where Marvel was able to push characters in interesting locations. Thor losing his arm. When he suddenly grows his arm back again, you just can't do stuff like that. Well, I guess you could. It's, they retcon stuff all the time, but, there's too much stuff that happened. And you can't pull all that back. So with Secret Wars, they can, in effect, get rid of all of that and then start afresh. Tony Stark will now be the pillar of, that strong man of the vision of the future again. Captain America will be young. He'll have a shield. He'll be strong, fighting the Red Skull again. Spider-Man won't necessarily have all of that baggage that he got from Superior Spider-Man that doesn't really seem to be going much. And then at the same time, they can still keep certain elements too. They can pick and choose what works and just dump everything else. So they're in an interesting position here. And this was almost mandatory because I'm telling you, the books have been out of control. And as much as I like it, they can't be out of control forever. So, that is your primary differences between the two books. More information will be coming out at Secret Wars later, as we get closer to May. But this is going to be insane, definitely insane. This actually I think will still prove to be interesting, because as long as they can get the writing teams right, I think we can get some cool interactions between different characters of different timelines, different universes, and hopefully, I'm really hoping, DC can pull its ass out of its head and give us a good story. This one, I'm pretty positive Marvel has what it takes to do a good story. And just occasionally they just kind of like think their shit don't smell, and then they fail pretty bad. But we'll see. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. What do you think is going to be better? Convergence? Secret Wars? What are you looking forward to the most? Are you buying all of the issues, or are you going to be picking and choosing? Or, for that matter, I'm just going to get the cores. Let me know. I'll have more videos later. Like, share. Until next time.